Okay, what are we into? I think this is going rather well, this home therapy business. I highly recommend it. I also recommend, thank you, Bono and the boys, but let's... Yeah. Okay, yeah, as I was saying. Alright, session number 6. Sharing alone with myself and all. Okay, so, no more, you don't have to worry about, we've established your kind. Okay, that's just something that you have. And we've sort of discussed, sort of touched on your attitude towards money and finances, and that sort of things. And we're getting past, you know, we did the dog bit was kind of a nice thing to discover, that was how easy it was for you to make a choice. Alright, so let's get rid of the big one. How do we feel about religion? Well, yeah, man. That's a loaded question for this session. Let's go through. So, from my personal history, I can say this. Let's remember. Starts off Irish Catholic, okay? Staunch Irish Catholic. Now, this is from my early memories of Catholicism and all that, and it's kind of like, yeah, I was entrenched there. See, Mum and Dad, Mum got pregnant with me, 1957, Holy Catholic Ireland, and Dad actually hadn't, the Mum told me about this, it's not a sob story, you'll like it actually. It's what made me, I guess. Right, so Mum used to, you know what, she used to drink a lot, and sometimes she'd say things, and she'd say, oh, well, you know, you were born, because I was born in a different place. Your dad wasn't too keen on this idea. You were a kind of surprised, I believe it was conceived on honeymoon, and Dad said that your mum said she tried a bottle of gin in a hot bath and that didn't work, and then he tried a tripwire and she fell down the stairs, broke her arm, and Mum always said that she was in plaster and she had to take calcium, that's why I had strong bones. Anyway, Dad fucked off to Africa and fled, said he was having none of this lark, and Mum, this is Mum's story and Dad's story, it's not a sub story. Anyway, God bless her, she's 4'11", right? So she's on a fucking boat and off she goes to the tip of Africa, Cape Town. And lungs, I can't remember, but she said she had a ball, you know, she was the blonde Irish full of fun and used to drink and smoke and everything else. And the captain looked after and all the crew, and on the train they looked after. Anyway, 4 days on a train or something, and she found the old man in a pub, in a bar in Bulawayo, in what was then called Southern Rhodesia. And I was born there, yes. And then apparently I was christened there in Bulawayo, and Mum said I was a total embarrassment. Church again, this is where the church comes in. I was being christened but hated it. Apparently I yelled my head off to the embarrassment of her and the priest and whoever else was in this cathedral, if they have a cathedral, biggest church in Bulawayo, whatever. And as soon as we went out into the African sun, I shut up. Mum said it was, you know, neither here nor there. Went back, we're not going to get that, we're going to religion, for fuck's sake. Right, so, starts off, school, you went to a convent, Rosebank, St. Mary's, something out of the convent, I think, the boys were till the age of 2. And I remember we went to church every Sunday. There was all sorts of, I mean, I had a little Mary and we prayed to that, and First Communion, there was a whole thing, and we went and confessed, and I remember this thing, every Thursday we'd go off to confession, and you know, your man would be a little, we all know what a confession box is, but 7 years old, right? Now you've got to admit something, and you go to confession, and if you haven't really got anything, you'd say shit like, oh, I thought bad thoughts about the Mother Superior or the nun or Mum or Dad or whatever. I can't, anyway. And apparently that was, the good thing was that, this is all like 8 years old. 9 maybe. Anyway, all these years, still the same shit. So we were coming out and going, okay, well, that's it. You make stuff up. I remember thinking, this is actually a load of bollocks. But you don't say that because at that age you're indoctrinated. And oh yeah, I was supposed to be, so definitely. And there the thing was, on a Thursday you walk out, and if you could get run over by a bus, for Jesus, and then it wouldn't matter. You wouldn't have a single spot on your soul because every time you did something bad or thought something bad or some shite, you get somebody, your man would come along and the devil or somebody would stick a little black spot on your soul, your snow white soul. And it got black, and really, and if you'd murdered somebody, it was totally black, and there was, wow, it's all scary shit, the Catholic Church was quite so. And Mum believed this, and Dad, well, with hindsight, but at that time, Dad, we were Catholics, right? And already, I remember you didn't talk about the Protestants, they were the other people, because I remember that was it. So there was Catholics and there was others, and we don't talk about that. Oh, Jesus, I think back. So there we were. Did that when I remember Joss Fassler. How do you remember these names, huh? Joss Fassler was his birthday party, and they lived in a place called Bryanston, and he was killed on his birthday on his bike by a speeding driver down Bryanston Drive or something. Now, I remember all these little details for no particular other reason. And I hadn't been at the party. I remember somebody saying afterwards, because Joss was a very close friend of mine, if your parents hadn't had a hangover and you'd been at the party, you could have been the one on the bike. So I thought it was kind of pushing it a little bit, but I didn't, just by the grace of God, dare still be alive because of Mum and Dad drinking. However, this I remember, Joss's funeral was a very sad affair. But he had a little white coffin. I remember saying to Mum, hey Mum, all the coffins we've seen, you see around there, they're always brown or black. And, oh, no. He's a little child, so it's white, because he can't have sinned. I said, but even if he was, I know he was quite a bad kid. I saw him do a bad thing. No. And as a kid, you get the white. Okay, so that was it. So, anyway, that was Catholicism. And then, cut a long story short, a couple of schools later, and even out in the African thing, I was an altar boy at one point, right? An altar boy. God, and I remember thinking at the time, Jesus, we had the whole little frocks and everything else. It was all in Latin. I mean, who the fuck spoke Latin? Nobody. It was Father Joseph. God, he was nice. A nice fellow. And I did and my job was to go around beforehand with a thing and light the candles way up there, and then I had a little brass cap, walk around after everybody fucked off and put them out, and you get dressed up beforehand. And I remember I would pour your man's wine into his chalice, whatever. And it'd be the wine never goes around. That's what it sounded like, right? Pouring the wine in, and ding-a-ling, another little ding-a-ling-a-ling. That's three little ding-a-lings. That's a ding-a-ling-a-ling. I mean, what on the box? Anyway, it granted privileges because Father Joseph liked me. I think he felt sorry for me or something. And yeah. That was it. I was an altar boy, and that was Catholicism. And then things happened, and then, cut a long story short, it was decided I shouldn't be a Catholic anymore because Dad's new wife was a Protestant, yes. Anglican, in fact, which was the same thing. So, sorry, I gotta stand up for this. So now we became a Protestant, and that was a strange thing, is because again, see, we had little step sisters and brothers and things, and Sunday school. Now the Catholic Church, we lived in Ravonia, the Catholic Church was out of town, and too far, and inconvenient, obviously, but no. Pam had convinced at that point the Catholics were throwing petrol bombs in Belfast, and she didn't want me becoming one of them things, hooligans, and this was a kind of new phenomenon in the world. Right, so because of this reason, I wasn't to be a Catholic anymore. The real reason I thought about it later, we know later, was they had hangovers on Sunday morning, and it would be a really good idea to send the kids off to the nearest possible thing, which was at Sunday school for Protestant Anglicans, but anyway, non-Catholics. And I would have to escort them all so they could sleep in. But I had got confirmed in Middelburg, right? Onward, Christian soldiers, as a Catholic. altar boy, the robes. I was on my way to be a priest, man. Everybody thought, your man's going to be a pope. According to my mum, you know. But, so now the new mum reckons, no, fucking, that's a bad idea. So now I am being reconfirmed in the back of another church. Oh, I had to go to lessons with a bloke called, I think, Father Harker, lessons, not lessons, fucking, anyway. Bottom line in origin is no. But all the others were in the front of the church. And I had to stand in the back. And this was a new bunch. With this bunch you could drink wine, because the Catholics you just got that. And I'm alone in the back of the church for my confirmation. I'm being reconfirmed as a Christian soldier, this time as a Protestant. And the bishop had to come up all specially to me, all on my own. And this time I got oil. I remember there was different, a little bit of oil on the forehead, and a little bit of a doodad, and that was it. I was now, yay! Next thing I needed was a license, and I could laugh at the kids. Anyway, so, as you can imagine by now, I'm starting to get a little skeptical. But we did it, and then that sort of changed. Dad became a Rosicrucianist, that's right. I sensed that he really wasn't into this routine at churches and stuff. So, and this time we're not going to go to Rosicrucianism, but it's mysticism, ancient Egyptology. I was a teenager, young. And pretty sure I've got the date. Doesn't matter. Anyway, I do remember this. Fucking a little box that they'd made. Here in Don. When I say little box. Okay, it was like here. A couple of meters by a couple of meters, standing. It was, and it had a blue light in it. And it had a cushion, didn't have a tool, and an altar. And here's what I remember. There was a cross in it, but there was nobody nailed to it. There was nobody crucified up there, so this meant it was good. And I remember coming out the first time, half an hour was, right, I had to sit in this box for half an hour, kneel in this box, and think good shit, right? Meditate, it's called. I remember the first time I came out, and I didn't give the right answer. Dad wasn't impressed enough, so the next time back in the box, and you don't come out until you tell me that you feel something warm and, well, I thought I was in that box for half an hour thinking about everything else under the sun, and the planets and the moon, and how to come out. Oh yeah, I felt it was a good warm feeling. It just felt calm. Ah, good. Now I could fuck off and go play cricket or soccer or whatever the fuck. Anyway, that was, so you can imagine by the time I got sent off to this Queen's College business, they would have said religion, and I actually thought to myself, you know what, I think I'll become Jewish, you know. Why not? Because these guys got Friday off, they got extra holidays, I mean they got ours as well as theirs. I'd been circumcised, right? I think most of us were in that generation. Yeah, and there was extra holidays. And Friday nights, because we had to go into town, you get off premises, like you got parole on Friday nights. So, but then I couldn't, I would have been caught out somehow. But it actually crossed my mind, that's how much you cared about religion by the time you were 16. And then, kind of like everything else, you years later, you gave up on that whole lot, and years later you went to AA, okay? And then, God bless them, they were extremely, they were, all right, I'm going to cut this short because now this is going to require 2 sessions. But here's the bottom line. I got 2 medals, right? I actually earned the 3rd medal. This is 1 year and 2 years. But they didn't know this. I had decided I'd do my 3 years, but at midnight I had some beer sitting in the fridge waiting. And I think I had 6 beers and was pissed as a parrot because this was now 3 years. And unbeknown to me, the anonymous fellows, that all 2 of them were sitting in a room with a little piece of cake and my medal. And I never turned up because I decided to wait until midnight and go out and get pissed instead. The reason is because, you know, Jesus, my woman I really fancied, I was never going to, woman, again, not blaming women, just fact of the matter, beautiful Greek island, the bars, what do you expect? And for me to go to the bar, anyway, can't blame her for going down there. And I thought, well, that's it, I've got to drink. No, if you're going to choose now between AA, getting laid, or having a pint or two. So I broke the rules, and so I remember this, they turned around and they said, almost gleefully, well, dear boy, you failed. You don't get your medal now. I said, but I was there until midnight. You know, I mean, you guys didn't witness it, but I promised. No. But actually, I was joking. I felt bad. I said, Jesus, you made a cake and everything. Oh, I'm so sorry, selfish, because it was selfish of me. But basically, at the end, I felt so fucked up about it. But fuck this, man. This is religion again. I'm feeling guilty and bad about nothing. I followed the rules. It's not for me, but God bless it. It did give me something. That is once again to think about something other than this sphere, this dimension. And because during that period of time, I thought this higher power was giving me things to see. Today I discovered the internet. That's going to come in another story. Saved my life, and all sorts of little things that were meant to be, including a woman who was coming to help me make a website about space, and with her daughter, and I was supposed to be a father, and all those things. I thought this is all supposed to be. So I did. I was religious about all that shit, literally. And so I've never given that part of it up, so I believe in the next session we're getting to someone else. But nobody else. But good luck to you all. This is me. You can't, this is my education, or lack of education, or too much education, too much experience. So for me alone, St. Peter, I hereby submit, I'm passing the test so far. I've been kind, and I'm not a thief, and so on and so on. And yeah, I haven't followed anybody's rules because I kind of don't like uniforms. And hey, right, that's today. Next session we'll finish this shite off.